The morning I lost everything didn't begin with a scream, a crash, or even an argument. It began with a whisper that hinted my entire life had already been dismantled long before I realized it. And the person who would reveal the truth was my 7-year-old daughter. Nalia had lived years inside a house that looked peaceful from the outside, but felt like a prison from within. That morning, like every other, she moved quietly through the kitchen, slicing fruit, scrambling eggs, and tiptoeing as if noise alone might trigger something dangerous. She wasn't clumsy or timid by nature. She had simply learned to shrink herself so she wouldn't disturb her husband, Tyrion. At exactly 6 a.m., his footsteps echoed down the staircase. His shirt was crisp, his tie perfect, his expression the same frigid mask he'd worn for months. Nalia immediately placed a steaming mug of black coffee in front of him, followed by a flawless plate of breakfast. He didn't look at her, didn't greet her, didn't thank her. He took a sip and muttered, "Too bitter." "I'm sorry, I must have measured wrong today," she replied softly, keeping her eyes lowered. He pushed the plate aside without a word. "Is Zaina awake?" "Yes, she's getting dressed." As if on cue, Zaina's small feet pattered down the stairs. A burst of sunshine cutting through the icy morning, she threw her arms around Nalia before hurrying to her father. Tyrion's cold demeanor cracked just enough to offer his daughter a shallow smile. "Daddy will take you to school today," he said with practiced warmth. Zaina cheered. Nalia exhaled quietly. At least he tried in front of their daughter. The moment they left, the house grew painfully silent. So silent she could hear her own breathing hitch every time a thought of "what happened to my marriage" slipped into her mind. She cleaned, washed, folded, polished, trying to perfect everything she believed might fix the growing hollowness in her husband's eyes. By midday, she picked Zaina up and listened to her daughter chatter excitedly about art projects and school stars. That innocent joy was the only thing keeping her sane. Everything shattered when a courier appeared at their front door. Delivery for Nalia? She hadn't ordered anything, but the large brown envelope held a law firm's emblem. Her stomach twisted painfully. Inside, a stack of legal documents. The first line stole her breath. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Her vision blurred. Plaintiff, Tyrion. Defendant, Nalia. Reason, failure of marital duties. He demanded everything, the house, the assets, even full custody of Zaina. Her knees buckled, papers scattered across the floor. That was the exact moment Tyrion walked in early, standing over her crumpled body like he was stepping around spilled groceries. Not his wife, broken on the floor. His only explanation? "It's exactly what you read, Nalia. You failed. As a wife, as a mother." Her world imploded. And she had no idea it was only the beginning. Because the next thing Nalia discovers will prove her husband didn't just want to leave her. He had engineered her destruction for months. Before we continue, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, your city or state. And don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more gripping real-life stories. The shock of the divorce papers left Nalia numb, but the betrayal inside them hit even harder. Every accusation, every claim that she was incompetent or unstable felt like a dagger forged by the very man she spent years serving with devotion. She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't support her. Tyrion watched her collapse again, his expression unreadable. "You can't do this," she whispered. "I already have," he replied coolly, loosening his tie as if returning from an ordinary day. "And you'll lose, Nalia. I've prepared everything." Prepared? The word echoed like a threat. Nalia stared at the paperwork spread around her, Her life reduced to legal paragraphs: custody, assets, character flaws, false allegations. It was too thorough, too organized to be impulsive. This wasn't anger or frustration. This was a plan. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by Zana's bedside, watching the gentle rise and fall of her daughter's chest, brushing strands of hair from her little forehead. Tears dripped silently onto Zana's blanket. How would Tyrion make their daughter testify against her? What had he already told her? What poison had already seeped into that innocent mind? When morning arrived, Tyrion acted like nothing had happened. He prepared Zana's uniform himself and whistled while packing her bag. When she asked why Mommy's eyes were puffy, he simply said, "Mommy's been tired lately." As soon as the front door closed behind them, Nalia knew she couldn't sit still. She searched for help, any help, but lawyers wanted retainers, consultation fees, money. Money she didn't have. Years of depending financially on her husband suddenly felt like shackles. She hurried to check their joint account, her one remaining hope. Hands trembling, she opened the banking app. Balance, $0.00. She refreshed. Again. Nothing changed. Then she opened the transaction history and felt her heart split. 6 months of systematic withdrawals, thousands disappearing at a time, transferred into an account she'd never seen before. He hadn't gone cold. He hadn't grown distant. He had been preparing her downfall step by step. Her breathing grew shallow. She ran to her jewelry box. Empty. Even her wedding heirlooms were gone. A suffocating panic wrapped around her chest. She needed help. Someone, anyone. A name surfaced in her mind, an old acquaintance from college who worked at a legal aid center. Nalia dialed her immediately. Her friend listened horrified. "Nalia, this is bad. He planned this too perfectly." "I know," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please, tell me there's something I can do." "Go see a lawyer named Abram Harris. He's affordable and honest. Small office in an old plaza. Just go. And hurry." She didn't hesitate. With barely enough cash left for a taxi, Nalia headed out, clutching the last shred of hope in her shaking hands. Because what this lawyer would reveal next proved Tyrion's betrayal was far deeper and far darker than Nalia ever imagined. The taxi stopped in front of a fading strip mall, a place most people would overlook without a second glance. Chipped paint, flickering signs, a stairway that creaked with every breath of wind. It didn't look like the kind of place where hope lived, but it was the only door left open to her. Nalia climbed the stairs, gripping the handrail with trembling fingers. At the second floor, a small plaque read, "Abram Harris, family law attorney." No fancy gold lettering, no polished glass, just a modest door with peeling corners. She knocked. A deep voice replied, "Come in." Inside, stacks of files lined the walls. A worn desk sat in the middle, behind which a middle-aged man with gentle eyes and round glasses rose to greet her. He wasn't intimidating or theatrical. He had the calmness of someone who had seen too many tragedies to be shocked by any of them. "You must be Nalia," he said softly. "Your friend called ahead." She nodded, unable to speak. The moment she sat down, the tears she'd fought all morning spilled over. She recounted everything, from the divorce papers to the empty bank account to Tyrion's chilling words. Abram listened without interrupting, his expression tightening with every detail. Finally, he exhaled slowly. "Nalia," he said, folding his hands. Your husband didn't just plan a divorce. He built a case designed to bury you. Her heart dropped. He continued, pulling out a folder. And this, he warned, is the worst. She swallowed hard. What is it? A psychological evaluation from a child behavior expert, a woman named Dr. Valara. According to this report, she claims to have observed you and Zana in public settings for months. That's impossible, Nalia protested. I've never met any psychologist. Abram removed his glasses. She states that you're emotionally unstable, inconsistent, prone to hysterical episodes, and detrimental to your daughter's development. Nalia's lips quivered. It's all lies, every word. His silence confirmed he agreed. But what he said next chilled her to the bone. Nalia, this report alone could cost you custody, and I believe your husband intends exactly that. Her heart pounded painfully. And there's more, Abram added. Something about this expert. Something feels off. Her credentials look too clean, too perfect. Because the truth about this so-called expert would unravel a secret Tareen never expected anyone to uncover. Nalia stared at the psychologist's report as if it were a bomb ticking in her hands. Every paragraph was a carefully crafted dagger, each sentence designed to make her look unstable, unfit, and dangerous to her own child. She felt physically sick. Abram leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping the folder thoughtfully. I've seen dirty tactics before, he said, but this is on another level. She's lying, Nalia whispered. That woman is lying about everything. I don't even know her. That, Abram replied, is exactly why this scares me. The office grew quiet. Outside the window, traffic hummed faintly, life going on as if hers hadn't just crumbled. Nalia rubbed her forehead, trying to process the depth of the trap Tarian had set. Abram, she finally murmured, what do I do? He stood, walked to a filing cabinet, and retrieved another form. First, we respond to the lawsuit. No matter how stacked the deck is, we don't roll over. His tone sharpened. We fight. Something warm and unfamiliar flickered inside her. Hope. Thin and fragile, but present. Abram continued. There's one thing I can't ignore. Her credentials look legitimate, but they almost look curated. Too clean. Almost rehearsed. I've dealt with real experts. They're educated, but messy. Their records show decades of imperfect work. This woman? She's spotless. Meaning what? Nalia asked. Meaning she's either incredibly disciplined or hiding something. A chill ran down Nalia's spine. Abram pushed the folder aside. Let me be straightforward. If this psychologist is working with your husband, and I strongly believe she is, they've built a narrative meant to provoke you. Provoke me? Nalia blinked. He nodded. To make you react emotionally, to make you break down in court. They want your behavior to match her description. They want the judge to see what she wrote. Suddenly, everything clicked. The coldness, the insults, the sudden distance, the perfection of his legal strategy. Tarian wasn't simply pulling away. He was collecting ammunition. Nalia trembled. Abram leaned forward, voice low and firm. You must stay calm from here on out, no matter how he pushes you, no matter what he says or does. But he lives in the same house, she whispered. He's under the same roof. He sees me every day. The lawyer frowned deeply. That complicates things. Can you leave temporarily? No, I have no money, and he already emptied the account. The lawyer sighed. Then we brace for impact, and we prepare. Nalia felt the weight of the world pressing down on her chest again. She imagined Tyrion walking through the halls, coldly planning her downfall as if shredding her life was a business transaction. She had once loved that man, trusted him, built her world around him. How naive she had been. Abram's voice cut through her thoughts. Nalia, I'll do everything in my power to help you, but you need to tell me, did anything strange happen recently? Anything that felt staged? She hesitated. Actually, yes. Abram's eyes sharpened. Tell me. Because what Nalia was about to confess would be the first crack leading straight to the darkest secret Tyrion had been hiding all along. Nalia swallowed hard, fingers twisting in her lap. Abram watched her closely, sensing the shift in her energy. Go on, he urged gently. Whatever it is, it could be important. She stared at the floor as she spoke. A few weeks ago, something happened. Something that didn't make sense at the time. Abram leaned in. What happened? Nalia exhaled shakily. I came home early from picking up Zana one afternoon. Tyrion wasn't supposed to be home yet. He always came back late. But when I walked in, I heard voices. Abram's eyebrows arched. Voices? Yes, she whispered. A woman's laughter. I thought maybe he was on the phone, but then I saw movement in the hallway. Her throat tightened. I stepped forward, and the house suddenly went silent. When I reached the living room, no one was there, but I smelled perfume. Strong perfume. A scent I'd never worn. Abram froze. Describe it. Light, flowery, something expensive. He sat back, jaw tightening. Nalia, I need you to think carefully. Could that perfume match the scent on the woman from the psychological report? At first, she didn't understand. Then her eyes widened. Yes, she whispered. When I read that report earlier, the paper still carried a faint smell, that same smell. Abram let out a slow, grim breath. Then I'm almost certain your husband's expert witness isn't just lying for money. What do you mean? Nalia asked, voice trembling. I think she knows your husband personally. Very personally. Nalia felt the room spin. She clutched the sides of the chair. But she looked so professional in the photos. Her resume was flawless. That's exactly why she's dangerous. A person with perfect credentials and a personal stake, that's a weapon. The realization hit Nalia like a cold wave. Had this woman been in her home? Was she the one laughing with Tyrion that day? Had she been secretly observing Nalia, not for psychology, but for ammunition? Suddenly, something else clicked in Nalia's mind. The new tablet, she blurted out. What tablet? Tyrion bought Zana a brand new tablet 2 weeks ago, out of nowhere. He acted unusually generous. It didn't feel right. She remembered the moment vividly. Tyrion smiling with smug confidence, Zana giggling as she ripped open the packaging, and that same faint perfume clinging to his shirt. Abram tapped his pen thoughtfully. He was building affection, loyalty, making sure she'd choose him. A shiver crawled up Nalia's spine. He even said, when you live with Daddy later, you'll have new toys every week. Abram's expression hardened. He was conditioning her. Nalia felt sick, but I tried not to react. But the way he spoke, the way he undermined me in front of her, that is exactly what he wanted, to make you break. Nalia pressed her trembling hands to her face. Abram, how do I fight a man who's been planning this for months, who's using professionals, money, lies, everything? Abram reached across the table and rested a steady hand on the folder.
You don't fight him alone. And you don't fight blindly. We uncover the truth piece by piece." Nalia nodded slowly, though fear still gripped her heart. Because if Tarian had help, and that help came from someone living a double life, the storm ahead was far more dangerous than she ever imagined. Because the next incident at home would prove Tarian wasn't done setting traps. He was only getting bolder.
The ride home from Abram's office felt longer than usual. Every streetlight cast long shadows across the taxi windows, and each one seemed to whisper the same warning: "You're going back into the lion's den." By the time Nalia stepped into the house, her chest felt tight. The lights were already on. She could hear faint laughter from upstairs, Zana's voice mixed with Tarian's. Under any other circumstance, it would have sounded warm, comforting, familiar. Tonight, it felt like a performance. Nalia hung her keys and walked toward the living room, her heart beat loud enough to drown out her thoughts. When Tarian came down the stairs moments later, he didn't look surprised to see her back early. He looked irritated. "Long day?" he asked, voice dripping with fake concern. "Yes," she answered simply. He studied her face with the cold calculation of someone scanning for cracks, someone waiting for the perfect moment to exploit them. She remembered Abram's warning: do not react, no matter what he throws at you. Tarian stepped closer. "You look tired, Nalia. You've been crying again?" Emotional instability isn't healthy around a child. Her stomach tightened painfully. She clenched her jaw and inhaled slowly. "I'm fine." He smirked. He wanted a reaction. He wanted a crack. He circled her like a predator testing prey, then finally shrugged and walked to the kitchen. "Dinner ready?" he asked casually. "I wasn't home." "So no dinner?" He clicked his tongue with exaggerated disappointment. Another failure. She froze. He wanted her to shout, to snap, to give him the emotional meltdown he needed to match the psychologist's report. Instead, she whispered, "I'll cook now." He leaned against the counter, arms folded, watching her like some kind of experiment. "Don't bother. Zana and I ate out. She had pasta, a real meal." The jab hit its target, but Nalia didn't flinch, not visibly. She turned away, letting her hair fall forward to hide the sting in her eyes. After a moment, Tarian spoke again, voice colder. "By the way, the school called. They said Zana missed her vocabulary quiz because you forgot to sign her notebook. That's careless, Nalia. Negligent, even." She stiffened. She had signed it. She remembered signing it. And then it hit her. He must have removed the signed page. A fresh wave of anger surged inside her, but she swallowed it down. Abram's voice echoed in her mind. "Don't let him provoke you." "That won't happen again," she murmured. "It already did." His voice sharpened. "You're proving my case without even trying." Her nails dug into her palms. Before she could escape upstairs, Zana ran down, holding 2 small bags. "Mommy, Daddy bought me new clothes for school." Tarian beamed like a proud hero, lifting the bags dramatically. "Only the best from my girl." Nalia stared at the designer tags dangling from the outfits. A child didn't need designer clothing. But Tarian wasn't buying clothes. He was buying loyalty, buying affection, buying her daughter's testimony. And Nalia felt the walls closing in, because later that night, Nali would discover something hidden, something her daughter kept under her pillow, and something that changed everything. The house was quiet again by the time Nalia tucked Zana into bed. Tarian had retreated to the guest room, his chosen battleground position, leaving Nalia with the crushing weight of the day. She kissed Zana's forehead gently. "Good night, sweetheart." "Good night, Mommy," Zana whispered, hugging her stuffed bear. Nalia brushed her fingers through her daughter's hair and turned to leave, but something odd caught her eye.
A small corner of something dark was sticking out from underneath Zana's pillow. At first, she ignored it. Children hid on things: crayons, tiny toys, candy wrappers. But the shape was too large, too rigid, too out of place. She hesitated, then slowly lifted the pillow. Her breath caught. It was the old tablet, the cheap one with a cracked screen, edges chipped, back dented, battery barely holding charge, the one Tarian insisted was garbage and replaced with the expensive new model. Why, she whispered to herself, why hide it? Why sleep with it practically under her cheek? What was she afraid of losing? Nalia gently set the pillow back without disturbing Zana. She didn't dare turn the tablet on. It might wake her. But her mind began racing. If Zana had the new tablet, why cling to the broken one? Something wasn't right. She stepped out of the room, closing the door halfway behind her. Her thoughts churned relentlessly as she walked back to the darkened kitchen. What if Zana saw something? What if she knew something I don't? What if this old tablet holds something important? She shivered. The memory of that perfume, of the laughter in the hallway, of the silent house suddenly going still as she entered, all rushed back. That day she brushed it off, told herself she was imagining things. Now she wasn't so sure. She looked down at her hands. They were trembling. A creak echoed softly from the guest room. Tarian was awake. Nalia instinctively stepped back into the shadows near the counter. His door cracked open. Light spilled across the hallway. His silhouette paused, sensing. This wasn't the man she married. This was a stranger wearing her husband's face, calculating, watching, waiting for one misstep. After a moment, he shut the door again. Nalia exhaled shakily. Every part of the house felt like it held secrets she didn't know how to uncover. Every corner seemed to whisper a warning. He knows everything you do. And yet, Zana had hidden that old tablet. Why? As she walked to her bedroom, she stared at the door of the guest room. Behind it sat the man who had drained her bank account, the man who orchestrated false evidence, the man who was willing to manipulate a child to get what he wanted. But now, for the first time, Nalia sensed there was a weakness in his strategy, something he overlooked, something he didn't know Zana kept, something he didn't expect to exist. Because the very next day, Tarian would make his boldest move yet, and in doing so, he would unknowingly push Zana to reveal the first clue. The next day arrived with a heaviness Nalia could feel in her bones. She barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, images of the old tablet under Zana's pillow flashed behind her eyelids. She needed to check it. She needed answers, but doing so without waking her daughter felt impossible. Morning routines resumed, though nothing felt routine anymore. Nalia prepared breakfast with robotic motions, forcing her trembling hands to remain steady. She had barely placed plates on the table when Tarian and Zana came downstairs. As always, Zana lit up the room with her presence. "Good morning, Mommy," she chimed. "Good morning, sweetheart." Nalia smiled softly and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Her eyes briefly flicked to Tarian. He looked unusually cheerful. That was never a good sign. He sat at the table, scrolling through his phone, wearing a smugness that made the air feel colder. "Zana," he said with a breezy tone, "guess what Daddy planned for you today?" Zana's eyes widened. "What?" "We're going somewhere fun after school. Just you and me." Her little face lit up. "Really?" Nalia's heart tightened. Another outing, another performance of Superdad, another manipulation. She spoke gently. "Where are you taking her?" Her voice was calm, too calm, controlled. She wouldn't give him anger. Not today. Tyrion didn't even look up. "No need for you to know." Zana blinked. Confused. "Daddy, Mommy can come too, right?" That simple question made Tyrion stiffen. His smile faltered for a second, long enough for Nalia to see the irritation underneath. "No, pumpkin. This is just daddy-daughter time." Nalia swallowed hard. His voice wasn't soft. It was possessive, territorial, as if Zana were a prize he already considered his. Zana hesitated. Her eyes flickered toward her mother. Nalia bent down, cupping her daughter's cheek gently. "Have fun, sweetheart. Just make sure Daddy keeps you safe." Zana nodded, but she didn't look excited anymore. She looked unsure. And Tyrion noticed. His eyes sharpened. He leaned across the table toward Zana, lowering his voice. "Don't worry. Daddy always keeps you safe. Remember what we talked about, okay?" Zana stiffened. Nalia felt her stomach drop. What had he told her? But she couldn't ask, not without setting off the trap he wanted her to walk into. Later that afternoon, Nalia waited by the window for hours. Zana's dismissal time passed, then another hour, then 2. Nalia called Tyrion. No answer. She called the school. They said Zana had been picked up. A familiar panic clawed up her throat. By the time Tyrion finally pulled into the driveway, long after dark, the passenger door burst open and Zana ran out carrying a bag of new toys. Her hair smelled of cotton candy and amusement park air. Nalia rushed forward. "Where have you been? You were gone for hours." Zana hesitated, glancing between her parents, but Tyrion stepped in front of her. "Relax, Nalia. We had fun." Nalia froze. That same perfume clung to his collar. The one she remembered. The one from the psychologist. The one from the hallway weeks ago. Her blood ran cold. Because in just a few hours, Nalia would finally check the old tablet, and what she found inside would flip her entire world upside down. The moment Zana fell asleep that night, Nalia sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the old tablet like it was radioactive. Her fingers hovered over it, trembling. She felt guilty. Violating her daughter's privacy wasn't something she ever wanted to do. But there was something hidden in this tablet, something Zana felt the need to protect, something Tyrion didn't know she still had. Nalia took a deep breath, powered it on, and prayed the cracked screen still worked. The device flickered violently, then stabilized with its familiar low-resolution glow. The wallpaper was an old photo. Nalia and Zana at the park, both covered in ice cream and laughing. Nalia's chest tightened. When had life become so complicated? When had happiness slipped through her fingers? She tapped the gallery icon. The tablet was nearly full. Dozens of videos, hundreds of pictures, random apps, childish doodles. But one folder stood out, hidden under an obscure name, Homework_2023. Zana didn't name things like that. Tyrion did. Nalia's heart hammered as she opened it. Inside were videos. Not of schoolwork, not of family, not of playtime. Her breath hitched. They were recordings from inside the house. Shaking, she opened the most recent file. A shaky video appeared, filmed from a low angle as if recorded by a tablet propped secretly on a chair. In the footage, Nelia walked through the living room doing chores, hair tied back, eyes tired. She wasn't speaking. She wasn't angry. She wasn't doing anything wrong. But then Tarian entered the room. He walked up to her, began arguing, loud, aggressive, taunting. Nelia and the video tried to walk away, but he blocked her path. He accused her of being irresponsible, incompetent, unstable. He pushed the argument harder and harder, trying to ignite an emotional explosion. But video Nelia stayed quiet. And then it clicked. He thought he wasn't being recorded. Her hand rose to her mouth. She played another file. Same thing. Another trap, another provocation, another attempt to paint her as volatile while he stayed perfectly calm and weaponized. A lump formed in Nelia's throat. The videos weren't damning to her. They were damning to him. They proved everything Abram warned her about. Why had Zana hidden these? Did she know her father was trying to portray her mother as unstable? Did she keep recordings because something felt wrong? She scrolled deeper. Then she froze. One clip was different. The camera angle was lower, quite possibly filmed from Zana's tiny hands. The footage showed Tarian on the phone, pacing back and forth in his office. And the voice on the other end? A woman. Soft. Familiar. Don't worry, the report is ready. By the time the court sees it, she won't stand a chance. Tarian laughed. Perfect. After this, custody will be simple. Just remember, I'm risking my license for you. Nelia's stomach dropped. It was the psychologist, the one who wrote the false report, the one with the perfect credentials, the one she smelled in the hallway. The video ended abruptly, as if Zana had gotten scared and stopped recording. For several seconds, Nelia couldn't breathe. This was proof. Real, unshakable proof. And suddenly, she understood. Zana wasn't protecting a tablet. She was protecting her mother. Because once Nelia shows Abram these recordings, the war Tarian started will take a turn he never saw coming.
The next morning, Narya woke with a mission burning in her chest. Fear was still there, clinging to her ribs like a cold shadow, but something stronger now pulsed beneath it. Purpose. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't walking blindly through a storm. She finally had a weapon. After dropping Zana at school, she clutched the old tablet tightly and headed back to Abram's office. Her hands were cold, her breathing uneven, but her steps were determined. Abram opened the door before she even knocked. "You look pale," he said, ushering her inside. "What happened?" Narya didn't waste time. She placed the tablet on his desk. "You need to see this." Abram raised a brow, but said nothing as she unlocked it and opened the incriminating folder. One by one, she played the videos, letting the truth speak for itself. Tarian provoking her, Tarian staging arguments, Tarian attempting to make her lash out. Abram's expression darkened with every minute that passed. This is unbelievable. These aren't just manipulations. These are premeditated setups. "I know," Narya whispered. "There's more." She opened the clip recorded in Tarian's office, the one with the psychologist. As soon as the woman's voice filled the room, Abram froze. He leaned closer, jaw tight. The moment the psychologist admitted she falsified the report, Abram slammed his hand on the table, startling Narya. "That's it," he said sharply. "This is enough to dismantle their entire case." Narya felt her heart flutter with hope, but Abram wasn't finished. "This isn't just perjury. This is conspiracy, professional misconduct, child manipulation, and coordinated fraud. This could cost your husband custody, assets, and potentially even his career." He rewound the video, face hardened with determination.
We are no longer on defense, Narya. We're switching sides of the battlefield. A breath Narya didn't know she was holding slipped out. So, you believe me? Abram looked at her with a rare softness. I believed you from the moment you walked in. But now I can prove it. For the first time, Narya felt truly seen. She wiped at her eyes, overwhelmed. I don't know how Zana managed to record these. She's a smart little girl, Abram said. Kids sense things adults overlook. She recorded what felt wrong. Narya nodded, thinking of Zana sleeping with the tablet hidden under her pillow like a lifeline. It broke her heart and strengthened it. Abram leaned back, tapping a pen against the desk. Here's what we're going to do. First, I'll file an emergency motion to challenge the credibility of the psychologist. With this evidence, she'll be discredited immediately. And Tarian, Narya asked quietly. Abram's eyes sharpened. We'll hit him where it hurts. He created a false narrative and tried to manipulate the legal system. Judges do not tolerate that. Narya swallowed, fear mingling with relief. Should I go home after this? Abram paused. Yes, but be cautious. He's going to sense something the moment his plan starts collapsing. Narya nodded, gripping the tablet. She wasn't the same woman walking on eggshells anymore. She finally had truth on her side. Because that evening, when Narya returned home, she found Tarian waiting for her, with a smile that warned he already suspected something.
When Nalia stepped through the front door that evening, she sensed it instantly. An atmosphere so thick and unnatural, it felt like walking into a room filled with invisible smoke. The house was too quiet, too still. Not even the hum of the refrigerator felt normal. Tarian was sitting on the couch, leaning back like a king waiting for a confession. His smile was the first red flag, sharp, stretched too wide, too rehearsed. You're home late, he said calmly. Her pulse quickened. Traffic, she replied, matching his tone, remembering Abram's warnings. Stay calm, to not react, not even a flicker. Tarian nodded slowly, almost mockingly. You've been going out a lot lately. Meetings, errands, appointments. He tilted his head. Is there something you'd like to tell me? Her stomach nodded. The question wasn't casual, it was bait. He was fishing, probing, testing. No, she said smoothly, just normal errands. His smile sharpened. Normal errands, he repeated, as if tasting the words. Funny, you were never this busy before. Nalia fought the urge to step back. People change. Yes, he replied softly, standing. People do change, and sometimes they start acting unpredictable. A dark glint flickered in his eyes. He was trying to push her again, corner her, make her slip, yell, break. But she wouldn't give him what he wanted. Where's Zana? She asked, scanning the house. Doing her homework. He said, though his expression said he didn't care about the question. We had a talk today about loyalty, about truth. Her breath caught. What do you mean? Oh, nothing serious. Just helping her understand which parent is stable and which one tends to lose control. Nalia felt heat rush up her chest, but she swallowed every ounce of emotion. Not a single muscle twitched. Instead, she said calmly, Thank you for helping her. He blinked, confused by her lack of reaction. Good. She walked past him toward the hallway, but Tarian stepped directly into her path, blocking her. I've been thinking, maybe we should expedite the custody arrangement. It's obvious you're stressed. Maybe we should finalize things faster. For Zana's sake. Inside, fear crawled up her spine like ice. This wasn't small talk. This was an ultimatum. But Nalia met his eyes steadily. Whatever is best for her.
Something snapped in his expression. Just for a split second, annoyance, frustration, even anger. He had spent months engineering explosions, building traps, creating moments for her to break. And now she was calm. Too calm. He didn't know what to do with that. Suddenly, footsteps pattered down the stairs. Zana appeared with her backpack slung over one shoulder. "Mommy, can we read tonight?" she asked softly. "Of course." Tyrion turned toward their daughter, but Zana instinctively moved closer to Nalia's side. It was small, subtle, but unmistakable. A shift. Tyrion noticed. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened. And in that moment, Nalia realized something chilling. He wasn't just losing control of his plan. He was losing control of Zana. She reached for her daughter's hand and guided her upstairs, never once looking back at him. But she could feel his stare burning into her spine. Something had changed, and he knew it. Because later that night, as Nalia put Zana to bed, her daughter whispered a secret, one that revealed exactly how much Tyrion had been hiding, and who else had been inside their home.
Nalia tucked Zana into bed, smoothing the blanket up to her chin. The soft glow of the bedside lamp cast warm light over her daughter's small face. But instead of drifting peacefully into sleep, Zana kept fidgeting, her fingers twisting the corner of her blanket, her eyes flicking toward the door as if afraid someone might be listening. "Sweetheart," Nalia whispered, brushing hair from her daughter's forehead. "What's wrong?" Zana hesitated. Her throat bobbed. She looked at the door again, then reached out and grabbed Nalia's wrist with surprising urgency. "Mommy, I have to tell you something, but you can't tell Daddy I told you." A cold shiver ran through Nalia's spine. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I won't tell him. I promise." Zana swallowed hard and pulled her mother even closer until her lips were almost at Nalia's ear. "There was a lady in the house." Now you froze. Zana continued, voice trembling. "A few times, when Daddy said he was working from home, he told me not to say anything." Nalia's breath stuttered. "What lady, baby?" she asked softly. Zana squeezed her hand. "The one with the pretty hair. She smelled like flowers." Nalia's heart dropped. The perfume. The voice. The psychologist. Her chest constricted painfully. "Did she talk to you?" Zana nodded slowly. "She asked me questions. Like, who cooks more? Who yells more? Who forgets things? Who makes me sad sometimes?" Nalia felt her legs go weak. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding on to the mattress to keep herself steady. "What did you say?" she whispered. Zana's eyes filled with guilt. "I didn't want to make you sad, but Daddy told me to tell the truth, the way he told me. He said it was a game, like pretend." Her lower lip trembled. "He said if I told the lady those things, I'd get toys." Nalia closed her eyes. Her worst fear confirmed by her own daughter. "That's why she gave me the new tablet. She said it was a reward." Nalia opened her eyes, tears gathering. "Baby, you didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault." Zana shook her head. "Mommy, I didn't like her. She kept asking about you.
But Daddy said if I helped him, we'd be moving somewhere fun soon. Just us. A stabbing ache gripped Nalya's chest. He had been planning to take Xana away, emotionally priming her for separation. Did she ever go into my room? Nalya asked, breath trembling. Xana hesitated, then nodded. She and Daddy looked through your drawers. They whispered a lot. I wasn't supposed to see, but I watched from the stairs. Nalya's blood turned to ice. The psychologist had been inside her home. Not just once, multiple times. Recording, digging, fabricating evidence. This wasn't simply a messy divorce. This was a coordinated attack. Nalya hugged her daughter tightly, cradling her trembling body. You're safe, sweetheart. I promise. Mommy's here. No one will take you. Xana clung to Nalya. Mommy, are you going to be okay? Nalya pressed a kiss to her forehead. I am now. But inside, she was shaking. Because if the psychologist had been inside the house, there was no telling what else they planted. Because the next morning, when Nalya confronted Abram with this new revelation, he uncovered a hidden danger inside the house that neither one of them saw coming.
Nalya didn't wait a second the next morning. The moment she dropped Xana at school, she rushed straight to Abram's office, her heart pounding, her palms damp. She didn't knock. She walked in, breathless and shaken. Abram stood immediately. What happened? You look like you saw a ghost. I think I did, Nalya whispered. She shut the door and lowered her voice. Xana told me the psychologist was in our house more than once. Abram froze in place. His usually calm expression hardened into something sharp and dangerous. She spoke to your daughter inside your home, he asked slowly. Yes, and she recorded things, dug through my drawers, and Abram, she gave Xana the new tablet. She bribed her to say things that weren't true. Abram took a long, controlled breath. This is worse than I thought. He gestured for her to sit. Nalya did, feeling her entire body trembling. Abram grabbed a legal pad and wrote quickly, Tell me everything, exactly as Xana explained it. Nalya repeated every detail, Xana's fear, the questions the woman asked, the game Tarian told her to play, the whispered conversations, the rummaging through her bedroom. By the time she finished, Abram had stopped writing. His jaw was clenched tight. This isn't just unethical. This is criminal. She illegally entered your property, interrogated a minor without consent, tampered with evidence, and falsified a professional evaluation. Can we prove it? Nalya asked desperately. Abram looked at her with surprising intensity. We don't need to prove everything. We only need to prove one thing, and the rest collapses with it. He stood and walked to a locked cabinet. After rummaging for a moment, he returned with a small, portable device, a scanner and bug detector. What is that? Nalya asked. An RF scanner, Abram applied. If she was digging through your drawers and recording you, there's a very real chance she or your husband planted something in your home. A chill rippled through Nalya's body. Planted? What? Recording devices, hidden cameras, audio bugs, anything they could use to build their narrative. Nalya's breath seized. Oh my God. Abram grabbed his coat. We're going to your house right now. The drive felt endless. Each street,
each turn twisted tighter around Nalia's chest. When they finally pulled into a driveway, Nalia's hands were shaking so badly she could hardly remove her seatbelt. Abram placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "We do this calmly, quietly. If he planted something, he can't know we're looking for it." Inside, the house felt colder, emptier. Abram started in the living room, sweeping the detector slowly. Nalia watched the small machine, holding her breath. Silence. He moved to the hallway. Silence. Then they reached her bedroom. The device beeped, sharp, urgent. Nalia stepped back as if burned. Abram's eyes narrowed. He moved slowly across the room until the scanner's beeping intensified near her nightstand drawer. He opened it. And there, beneath folded clothes, was a small, black object no bigger than a coin. A listening device. Nalia slapped a hand over her mouth, her knees merely buckled. Abram turned to her, voice low and fierce. "He bugged your bedroom." Nalia's world tilted. Tarion hadn't just manipulated her. He hadn't just staged arguments. He had been listening, monitoring, tracking her every move. Because what they found next, hidden not in her room, but in Zana's, would prove Tarion's intentions were even more sinister than anyone imagined.
Nalia followed Abram down the hallway on shaky legs. Her mind was still reeling from the discovery in her bedroom, but Abram wasn't slowing down, not when there could be more devices hidden inside the house. "We have to check Zana's room," he said firmly. Those words alone were enough to make Nalia's stomach twist painfully. "Do you really think he would—" "Yes," Abram cut in gently. "After everything he's done, I think he's capable of anything." Nalia swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the doorway as they entered her daughter's room. The soft colors, stuffed animals, and tiny decorations made the idea of surveillance feel especially sickening. Abram began sweeping the scanner slowly. Nalia held her breath, praying the room would stay silent. For a moment, it did. Then, beep, 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 beep. The sound grew sharper, louder, more frantic. Nalia's chest tightened as Abram moved toward Zana's desk. The beeping dropped, then spiked again as he turned toward the bookshelf. He froze. "Nalia," he said quietly, "come here." Her feet moved before her mind did. She approached the shelf, eyes scanning the rows of books and small toys. Nothing looked unusual. Abram reached behind a row of storybooks and pulled out a small cube-shaped object, matte black, no labels, no switches, the kind of thing a child wouldn't even notice. "A camera," Abram murmured. Nalia's breath left her body all at once. "A what?" "A miniature nanny cam, remote access. It's been recording this room." Nalia felt dizzy. He wasn't just spying on her, he was spying on their daughter. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would he do that to Zina?" He turned the device over in his hand. "To build a narrative, to capture moments he could twist, to watch how you interacted with her, or worse." He stopped. "Or what?" Nalia demanded, her voice rising involuntarily. "Or to see how she reacted to the psychologist, if she resisted, if she cried, if she hesitated." His tone darkened. He needed to know if his manipulation was working. Nalia clutched her arms tightly around herself, trying not to collapse. Her tears stung her eyes, fueled by horror and rage. "He used her, our little girl. He used her as a tool." He nodded grimly. "This is no longer just a custody case. This is child endangerment, coercion, psychological abuse, and illegal surveillance." Nalia wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Her voice trembled, but steel was growing beneath it. "He has to pay for this, all of it." "He will," Abram said firmly, "but we need one more thing." Nalia blanked. What more could there be? Abram held up the camera.
This is recording to somewhere. If we can track the receiver, we can find out where he's been storing all the footage. Nalia's blood ran cold. You mean he has more? Abram looked her in the eyes. Yes, and whatever he collected, he's been saving for the courtroom. A chill swept over her skin. Suddenly, a sound echoed from downstairs, the slam of the front door. Abram and Nalia locked eyes. Tarian was home. Because the confrontation waiting downstairs would force Nalia to face Tarian directly, and for the first time, she wouldn't be the one afraid. The moment the front door slammed, the entire house seemed to hold its breath. Nalia felt her pulse spike, but this time it wasn't the same paralyzing fear she used to feel. This time, something steadier burned beneath her panic. Anger, truth, and the certainty that she was no longer powerless. Abram quickly slipped the recording device into his jacket pocket, his expression shifting into calm professionalism. "Remember," he whispered, "say nothing about what we found. Not yet." Nalia nodded, inhaling slowly to steady her shaking hands. Footsteps echoed through the hallway. Slow, purposeful, heavier than usual. A predator returning to its territory. Tarian appeared at the top of the stairs, stopping the moment he saw Abram beside her. His eyes narrowed. "Well," he said with a cold smirk, "this is a surprise." Abram stepped forward. "Mr. Solon, I'm attorney Abram Harris. I represent your wife." His jaw twitched. "She doesn't need representation. She's wasting your time." "I disagree," Abram answered evenly. "Mrs. Solon has every right to legal counsel." Tarian's gaze flicked to Nalia, sharp, probing, calculating. "What is this, Nalia? Another emotional stunt? Another attempt to make yourself look like the victim?" Nalia kept her voice steady. "I spoke to my lawyer, yes. That's completely normal in a divorce." Tarian scoffed. "Since when do you have money for an attorney?" "She doesn't," Abram answered for her. "I'm working with her on the strength of her case." A cold silence filled the hallway. Tarian's smile thinned. "Her case? What case? She's the unstable one. She's the one losing control. I have a professional evaluation to prove it." Abram didn't blink. "Yes, we're aware." The calculated calmness in Abram's tone made Tarian pause. He shifted his stance, uncertain for the first time. Nalia watched him carefully. For months, she had shrunk under his presence. Today, she was studying him, recognizing the cracks he was starting to reveal. Tarian's voice sharpened. "You had no right to bring him here." "I can meet my lawyer wherever I choose. I don't need your permission." Tarian stepped closer, eyes narrowing dangerously. "You think you can twist this? You think you can make people believe you—" He leaned in, his voice dropping into a threat. "You're weak, Nalia. You always have been." But this time, the words didn't pierce her. They slid right off. Because she finally knew the truth, he needed her weak. He needed her scared. He needed her silent. Not anymore. She lifted her chin. "I'm not the one who should be worried." For the first time, something flickered across Tarian's face. Fear. Abram stepped forward, placing himself between them. "Mr. Solon, you should understand something clearly. We are filing motions, several, and you will be required to comply with all discovery requests." Tarian's expression darkened. "What motions?" Abram smiled slightly. You'll find out soon. The tension in the air turned electric. Tarian stared at Nalia, really stared, searching for her face for the old fear he depended on. He didn't find it. He clenched his jaw and stormed toward the living room, muttering curses under his breath. Abram exhaled. He knows something's wrong. We need to move quickly now. Nalia nodded. She wasn't shaking anymore. The power had shifted. Because just when Nalia thought she had seen the worst, a discovery in Tarian's locked office would expose the final devastating truth behind his entire plan.
The house had never felt heavier. Every wall, every step, every breath carried the weight of secrets Tarian had buried for months. And now, Nalia and Abram were ready to unearth the last one. Tarian keeps his office locked, Nalia whispered as they approached the door. Abram nodded. That means something important is inside. Nalia reached into the top drawer of the hallway cabinet and pulled out a tiny silver key. He forgot I still had this. It's a duplicate he made years ago, back when he trusted me. She slid the key into the lock. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the anticipation of finally exposing what he'd been hiding. The door clicked open. Tarian's office smelled like stale cologne and something metallic. The blinds were drawn shut, allowing only thin slivers of light to cut through the dimness. Papers were neatly stacked, drawers perfectly aligned, everything controlled with surgical precision. Abram scanned the room. Check the desk first. If he documented anything, it'll be there. Nalia opened the top drawer. Pens, notebooks, receipts. The second drawer, empty. The third, locked. She froze. Abram. He came to her side. Try the same key. She did. The drawer slid open. Inside was a thick file labeled Custody Strategy, Phase 1 to 4. Nalia's heart pounded as Abram opened it. The pages were filled with typed timelines, bullet points, dates, and notes, all written in Tarian's handwriting. Phase 1, emotional distancing. Phase 2, controlled conflict. Phase 3, psychological evaluation. Phase 4, evidence compilation. Each phase contained cruel details. In quotes, provoke her during midday hours to increase stress appearance. Document fatigue to claim maternal instability. Introduce Valara, psychologist. Record interactions to frame as neglect. Condition Zana with rewards. Build preference. Nalia's knees weakened. Abram turned the page, his expression darkening further. He planned everything. Every insult, every argument, every staged moment. But the next page was worse. Phase 5, final separation. In quotes, remove financial access. Apply for emergency custody. Relocate with Zana to a new residence. Cut maternal contact for 90 days. Nalia pressed her hand to her chest. He was going to take her and disappear. Abram kept flipping through the file and then stopped abruptly. At the bottom was a sealed envelope. Thick, heavy. Nalia recognized the handwriting. Tarian's. She opened it carefully. Inside were printed emails, messages exchanged between Tarian and the psychologist, Dr. Valara, discussing payment, fabricated diagnoses, and how to manipulate Zana into providing the right emotional responses. One line hit Nalia so hard she gasped aloud. In quotes, if Nalia breaks down again, record it.
If not, create a trigger. Abram's face turned stone cold. This isn't just manipulation. This is premeditated psychological abuse. We have enough to bury his entire case. They heard footsteps. Tarion appeared at the doorway, eyes wide, face pale, fury twisting his features. "What are you doing in here?" But this time, he wasn't the one in control. Abram closed the folder calmly. "Mr. Solon, the court will be very interested in all of this." Tarion lunged forward, but Nalia stepped between them, her fear replaced with strength he never expected. "It's over," she said. "You don't get to break me anymore, and you will never take Zana from me." Tarion froze. For the first time, he looked afraid. Abram guided Nalia past him. "We have everything we need." As they walked out of the office, out of the lies, out of the darkness, Nalia felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. The war he started had ended. And she had won. Because sometimes the person you fear the most is the one who never expected you to find your strength until it's too late for them to stop you.